All right, so today we're going to continue off of kind of what we were doing yesterday in class with solving. Okay, so we're just going to do a couple more of these just to make sure we have got this down. Oh, sorry, and I forgot, I need to have a TI-36X calculator to help me. Okay. So make sure you guys have access to your TI-36X calculator. It's going to help you get through these. All right. So this first one here says we need to find missing sides. So we're trying to solve for x here, okay? Based on this angle right here, all right? So let's recall real quick then, all right? Based on this angle, what do I know? Well, this is my hypotenuse. This is my opposite. This is my adjacent, okay? So I have adjacent, hypotenuse. So out of sine, cosine, and tangent, which one has to do with adjacent and hypotenuse? That would be cosine. So I'm going to set up my equation like this. I'm going to say cosine of 42 degrees is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse, x over 18. Okay? So then my next step then is to multiply both sides by 18 because I need to isolate the x. So I get 18 times cosine of 42 degrees equals x over 18. Okay? By multiplying both sides here by 18, those go away, and now I've got this. X is approximated to be something like 18 times cosine of 42 degrees. So I'm going to have 18 cosine 42 degrees. And when I plug that into the calculator, let's round to the tenths. We're going to be left with this. We're going to get 13.4 for x. Okay. Scroll up to the next problem. Okay. Another one, find the missing side length here. Again, here we're asked to find the missing side length, this time looking at x, but we still are looking at this angle right here. Okay, so recall before what that was. This is my hypotenuse. This was my opposite. This was my adjacent. So look at all the information given to me now. Look at all the information given to me now. Do I have enough information to look opposite hypotenuse? Opposite hypotenuse, what trig ratio supports that? Opposite hypotenuse, that would be sine. So we're going to set up like this. We're going to say sine of 63 degrees equals opposite over hypotenuse, which is x. Okay? So my next step then is to do this. I'm going to multiply both sides by x. So I'm going to have x times sine 63 degrees equals 200 over x times x. And so what that does is the x's get canceled away here. And so now you have something that looks like this. You're going to have x sine 63 degrees equals 200. Okay? You're going to have x sine of 63 degrees equals 200. And now your next step then is to go ahead and isolate the x on the left side here. So I'm going to divide everything through by sine of 63 degrees. So then x is approximated to be something like 200 over sine of 63 degrees. And so again, we're going to plug that into the calculator. We're just going to hit the fraction button and then just type in 200 over, in the denominator it's sine 63, close parentheses, hit enter, And then that means that x is approximated to be 224.5. Okay? Any questions on that one there? Well, I don't know why I'm asking that, but we will address that then in class tomorrow as well if there's people with questions on it. Okay, one more here, and then we're going to go over a couple of homework questions. All right, last example here, example 5. Now it wants me to find an angle. So before we have found missing sides. Okay, we have found missing sides. So now this time we are going to find a missing angle. Okay, so what I know is, again, is theta is down here. I'm trying to figure out what this angle is. Okay, based on theta, there's my hypotenuse, opposite, adjacent. Okay, so what do I have here? I've got opposite and adjacent, opposite and adjacent. So what is the only trig ratio that has to do with opposite and adjacent? That would be tangent. So it's going to look like this. So we're going to have tangent of theta is equal to, okay, opposite over adjacent, so 26 over 11. Okay. But now here's the problem. How do I get rid of this theta? I can't just go ahead and I can't just divide by tangent. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. Okay. In your calculator, and I'll show you guys how to do this tomorrow. Okay. You're just going to hit the tangent button twice. And when you do, it's going to give you this. That means inverse. Inverse, right? What's the inverse of multiplication? Division. What's the inverse of division? Multiplication, right? Okay? And so when you hit that twice, all you're going to do then is just plug in your fraction. Okay? And I apologize again, I don't know why I left my calculator back at my desk. But after you double tap the tangent, okay? So double tap the tangent button, and then you hit the fraction button inside the parentheses, 26 over 11, close parentheses, you find out that you get theta to be equal to, it looks like 67.1 degrees. Okay. Any questions on that? I don't know why I keep doing that. I'm just so used. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm so used to doing that. Sorry, guys, because you guys are here with me. All right. So I'm going to go over a couple of the word problems here, also on the video, to kind of help you. Okay. So this first one right here, we're going to go these first two together, and then that'll be it. Okay, and if we need to go over some more of these in class, we can as well. Okay. So Kayla decided to try parasailing. She was strapped into a parachute, towed by a boat, an 800-foot line connected her parachute to the boat, well, which was at a 32-degree angle of depression below her. How high above the water was she? Okay, so we know then that this right here is 800 feet. We're trying to find this, and we don't know anything else. We know this angle on the outside. We don't know this angle. We know it on the outside. Now, the biggest thing that we have to understand here that is this is we call this an angle of depression. So someone that's looking down. So like say you climb a mountain and you're up top and you're looking back down, that's an angle of depression. Say you're on the ground and I'm looking up. Okay, that's an angle of what we call elevation. We want to find the angle of elevation because then we would have enough information to solve for how high she is off the ground, okay, or above the water. All right. So what you need to understand is that if you're given an angle of depression, the angle of elevation is congruent to it. So this right here is also 32 degrees. Why? Because if I was to take a different color here, you would kind of see that we've got this rectangular box, okay? And so when a transversal or a line cuts through a rectangular box from diagonal to diagonal, okay, it forms alternate interior angles. Well, in geometry, a couple of years ago, you learned that all alternate interior angles are congruent. So therefore, whenever you're given, going forward, okay, if you're given an angle of depression, you can automatically just go ahead and write it down here as an angle of elevation. Okay? So now we do have enough information, because based on this angle here, it looks like I've got the opposite side now and the hypotenuse. Because that's opposite the right angle. We're using this angle now, guys. I'm using this angle. Based on this, that's opposite, that's hypotenuse. So now I have enough information to solve for it. So since I have opposite hypotenuse, I'm going to go sine of 32 degrees equals, we don't know what x is, over 800. Remember, opposite over hypotenuse. Okay? So then your next step is to go ahead and multiply both sides by 800. Okay, and so then you're going to have something that looks like this. You're now going to have x is approximated to be 800 sine of 32 degrees. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to plug that normally. 800 sine button, 32 degrees in the parentheses, and you're left with this. It looks like Kayla is approximately 423.9. And then what is our units? Make sure we have our units correct. Feet above the ground. Okay. All right, so that's kind of how you approach that with the angle of depression, right? Let's look at 41. On a roller coaster, 375 feet of track ascend at a 55-degree angle of elevation. Okay, so for A, it wants me to draw the picture. All right, so there's my triangle. Okay, so angle of elevation is right down there because I'm looking up. I'm looking up. I'm getting ready to ascend on the roller coaster. So what do we say? We know that is, you know that right here is 55 degrees. Okay. Okay, 375 feet of track. Okay, so just imagine, like this is you right here going up this railroad track. So right here, this is 375. Okay, so that's 375. So you've got your angle, you've got your side there. Here's our right angle. Okay, here's our right angle. Okay, and you've got your 375 there. So it says, determine the height of the roller coaster. Okay, so we want to know the highest point of the roller coaster. So that means I'm solving right there, right? Because up and down off the ground, that's the highest before I get to the top, and then when you go over and then it starts speeding up, we just want to know how high that is. So, based on what you have here, this angle, again, opposite, hypotenuse, opposite, hypotenuse. How do I know this is the hypotenuse? Again, opposite the right angle, longest length of the triangle. How do I know this is opposite? Look, we're looking at the angle down here, angle of elevation looking up. So then when I solve for this, it's going to look like this. It's going to be sine of 55 degrees equals x over 375. Okay? So then what we're going to do is we're going to multiply both sides by 375. Okay? And so by doing that, those cancel out, and now I'm going to be left with x is approximated to be 375 sine 55 degrees. So then x is approximated to be what? Again, calculator here. Calculator here, we're going to get 375, sine button, in the parentheses, put 55, hit enter, and we find out our answer to be 307.2, and what is that again, feet? Okay, so that's kind of like everything, okay? So after today's lesson, we should know how to solve and do word problems like that, okay? And if we have any more questions, again, we'll spend our lifetime going over this tomorrow, today in class, and then the homework the next day in class as well. All right, thanks guys. Have a good day. Bye.